let's talk about offense and defense specifically on the right side of the Astros infield. Jose Altuve returns, as we've discussed. He was 2 for his first 9 with 4 walks. Look at that, 4 walks right out of the gate. And I'll say this, we talked about this before his return. We talked about, would this push Jose Abreu down in the lineup and out of that cleanup spot? We saw little signs that Dusty was a little bit more flexible going lefty-lefty with Jordan and Tucker. And while nothing shocks us about Dusty's lineup, are you at least a little surprised that Dusty is sticking with Abreu in the cleanup spot, given that he really had a built-in excuse to reshuffle the lineup with Altuve's return?
It's managerial negligence at this point that Dusty relapsed. Back-to-back games last week, he went with Jordan 3, Tucker 4. Abreu 10th would probably be better than 5th, but okay, it was a step in moving him down. And then they face a lefty with an ERA over 7 Friday night. Oh, I have to have Abreu in there splitting up my lefties. There's no worse player in Major League Baseball this season. There isn't one. For the playing time that he's gotten, it's not as if he compensates for the sub-brutal offensive performance with dazzling base running skills. Of course, when you're never on base, I guess it minimizes the damage you can do there. The defense has been spotty at best, but the man was signed for $19.5 million per season to come and hit, and he hasn't hit worth a damn. It's now no home runs as an Astro, one in his last even 100 games played starting this week, dating to the 1 homer in his last 55 games with the White Sox. He hardly ever hits the ball hard. He can't pull anything. Has he come close to hitting a pop fly that drops in the Crawford boxes? I don't think so. Yeah. I think he has one ball that hit maybe halfway up the wall to the left center side of the Crawford boxes. He looks cooked. Maybe there's some elixir or remedy to the situation, but he's 172 at bats into the season. It's not early anymore, right? The general rule of thumb is, well, until a guy has 100 and 150 at bats, it's tough to gauge. Well, he's gone comfortably ahead of that. He rarely walks. His last 10 games, obviously 0 home runs, 1 double, 1 extra base hit over the last 10 games. So there are no smoldering embers that you're thinking, well, maybe that can turn into a little bit of a fire. There's 0, zip, nada. So Dusty continuing to put him in the cleanup spot on this specific point. Dusty's just dumb. I mean, maybe it's the teenager or any ager. No one likes to be told what to do. So whether Dana Brown or anyone else on the analytics team, Joe Espada, tea leaves, Dusty, this is patently obvious. Continually running Abreu out in the cleanup spot is just doofy.
I'm with you. I mean, we get the walk-off from Tucker with that great come-from-behind victory, and everybody's talking about, hey, if you wouldn't have had Tucker there hitting behind Jordan, it would have been Abreu, and you probably want to come back and won the game. So we all thought, okay, well, this is what they're going to do going forward. The very next game, Dusty puts Abreu back in the cleanup spot. It makes 0 sense to me. I mean, OPS, he has the 2nd worst in the league, I believe, right now. Slugging, I think he's 3rd worst. This is just awful out of people that qualify. I don't get it. And we look at the team, the Astros OPS for the season as a team right now, they're 22nd, slugging, they're 25th. Well, you look back at last year, they were 7th in OPS. So this is not a deal where they only won just with great pitching. By the way, they're 1st in ERA now for the season. The Astros were also doing it with the bats last year. I don't know how sustainable this is. They have to do something with Abreu. You can't hit cleanup anymore.
You know, I want to cut a little bit of slack to Dusty in that he's not working from prepared text when he speaks with the media, but diminishing slack. I mean, Dusty, frankly, sounded foolish on 2 issues over the last few days. One on Abreu, well, we just have to get him going. He's hit for years. We just have to get him going. Well, you don't have to get him going by continually penciling him into the 4th spot in your batting order. I mean, go to Jeremy Pena in the leadoff spot, not a prototype leadoff guy. He pulled the plug on that 1 week into the season. Okay, I get it. Pena doesn't have an 8-year resume like Jose Abreu. Well, Pena's not 36 years old like Jose Abreu and not looking absolutely washed up as Abreu basically has from opening day until this day. And then secondly, on Martin Maldonado, where Dusty was making the point that, well, the way the schedule is and the way we're winning, I think it's pretty much a correlation between Maldi playing and us winning. You play the Cubs and the A's this week. How about the rest of the season before that, where their winning percentage better when Maldi wasn't catching? Team ERA better when Maldi wasn't catching. Catching opposing base stealers, higher percentage with Diaz than Maldi. I just think Dusty digs a trench on a couple of these issues, and I don't know whether he's going to die on the hill with these. I will make a late May prediction. No matter how this season plays out, my guess is it's Dusty Baker's last as the manager of the Astros.
As I hear you say that, Dusty's not foolish. He certainly has like reasons for doing, like he's forgotten more baseball than I'll ever know.
But he can be foolish on specific points.
Sure. No doubt about it.
Things, dumb people do smart things.
Yes.
Good decisions can work out poorly. Bad decisions can work out well.
Is it possible that maybe he's carrying water for somebody else in the organization, or maybe he feels partially responsible for maybe he signed off on the Abreu thing, or maybe he feels pressure by others within the organization to make the Abreu thing work, to give it, like, is there some motivation either that he feels influenced to make it work, or could it be on the other side of that in which he's making a point, in which he's giving Abreu every opportunity to do it, and not giving anyone the excuse of, oh, well, you lowered him on the lineup, so you took his confidence away. Is he giving Abreu enough rope to hang himself on, or is he just sticking with his guns because he feels influenced to do so?
I mean, I feel like my confidence would be worse by letting down my teammates batting cleanup in almost every single game. To me, that would be a bigger confidence hit than Dusty moving me down. So I don't know if I buy that. And who would he carry water for? Maybe Bagwell or Crane, because, Dana Brown wasn't here for those signings. I think Dusty, I think you might have hit it there, Brandon. He might have been one of the big guys pushing for Abreu, So, maybe that's part of it. It's just this team is not built the same way as last year's team, at least up to this point. So you can't keep, going into these situations knowing that you're not giving yourself a very good chance of performing with him hitting in the cleanup spot. He's the worst hitter in baseball right now. I mean, who else would get this kind of, this many opportunities to keep going out there and doing this?
Yeah, as of this week, Dusty Baker's a 74-year-old made man with a very rich and successful, well-rounded baseball life. Other than the Astros giving him one more shot in the saddle as a big league manager, who is he beholden to, and for what? I do want to toss in, if not quite revisionist history, a little bit of 2020 hindsight. The Abreu signing was not patently stupid. Right? He was coming off a good year, though, with some warning signs, the power fall off in the second half, but the man did hit over 300 in the second half last year. By the way, Yuli Gurriel, who's having a better season than Abreu, because who isn't having a better season? Gurriel's not doing well with the Marlins. His OPS is back below 700. It's a little better than he was with the Astros last season when he was at a replacement level. It's just that replacement to the tune of 3 years, $58.5 million to this point is an unmitigated disaster.
Well, if Abreu gives you what Yuli did last year, which he scuffles throughout the year, but then turns it on in the playoffs when it matters, then you'll take that every year. I think. I mean, granted, I think you would have adjusted the amount of the contract if that's going to be the case. But one of the guys that's kind of getting buried here, metaphorically, is Mauricio Dubon, one of your more productive hitters during the first quarter of the season. I mean, he stepped up in a way that you could not have expected him to step up when Jose Altuve went down with that broken hand. And, we kind of contemplated, where do you put him? You can't take his bat out of the lineup, like, just out of respect for him. And I know he's only, he's here because he's a utility player, and, he's hit better than you could have imagined. But doesn't this kind of go against that old school philosophy of playing the hot hand? And I know we've seen him take some grounders at first base. They've been experimenting with him, taking reps in practice at first base. I don't think there's going to be any situation in which Jose Abreu, if they're not even willing to move him down, they're certainly not going to be willing to replace him with Mauricio Dubon at first. But do you find it curious that Mauricio Dubon, after being a guy who's contributed so much to you and had been one of your hottest, at least hitting, he's not, an on-base phenom by any stretch of the imagination, but after kind of hitting a lull, kind of rebounded back and was back above 300 hitting again. Is it curious to see him get iced out like this quick?
Yeah, they didn't see the field in the weekend against Oakland, but a bit of a numbers crunch until or unless they get to the point where, okay, we'll give him a few reps at first. And to beat the dead horse on this, Dusty, all right, you want to stand by your man, show faith and confidence, reversion to the career mean, whatever. Doesn't mean Abreu should be played 45 of their first 46 games when he's an absolute anvil dragging the boat down. But Jake Myers, good run. Chas McCormick recently getting back. So that pretty much precludes Dubon getting center field run that he got some last year. Corey Julks has really fallen off. I don't think he merits playing time at this point. So any day you want to DH Julks or spot him in left field to give Yordan a day at DH, maybe that's where you can funnel a little bit of playing time to Dubon. Altuve's injury was a thumb, not a hamstring. It's not like his cardio's down. So other than the occasional DH day, it's not like you're going to give Dubon a couple days per week at second base. So he's kind of an odd man out. Yainer Diaz reps at first base. Brantley was taking reps at first base. Dubon now is taking reps at first base. Either you guys want to take some reps at first base? I mean, it's as if they're acknowledging we have to try something else at first base. Well, get on with trying it.
Yeah, move it along. And Dubon can play the outfield for you as well. And I mean, Dusty's been so good about getting Jake Myers at bats and Chas at bats and, mixing everybody in early in the season so nobody gets cold. And then the second Altuve comes back, your hottest hitter, you plant him on the bench. Before Altuve came back, he led the team in hits. He led the team in doubles. He led the team in runs scored. And you're just not going to use this guy anymore. The one big thing we talked about, he doesn't walk that much, which is interesting. We brought up that Altuve has already walked 4 times in 3 games. Dubon's walked 5 times the entire season, 37 games. I mean, just think about that. So Altuve's doing his job. He's getting on base. That's what they want there. But I'd like to see more opportunity for Dubon. And I understand he's your only backup infielder right now with Hensley going down. And I keep hearing this argument, you can't possibly play him. What if somebody gets hurt? It's not the playoffs. If somebody has to play maybe not their strongest position for a few innings just to get you through a regular season game, I don't understand that argument. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
It's not the playoffs, but if it were, like if the playoffs started tomorrow and the Astros are in, gun to your head, is Dusty still putting Abreu in that cleanup spot?
Yes.
It feels like
game 1 of the playoffs was tomorrow. If they're facing a left-handed starter, absolutely. Against a righty, maybe he'd hit him 5th. Maybe he would go Yordan, Tuck, but I don't think any lower than 5th at this point.
No. And when I saw that lineup card come out for the first game with Altuve back, and I saw Abreu in the 4 spot, which, trust me, social media had some comments about that. It occurred to me that Dusty was like, finally, I get to put my lineup together the way I envisioned it before the season started, before Altuve got hurt. I almost think he was just like, this is the lineup I was going to run out there with Altuve first, Abreu 4th, and he wanted to see that in action, but he got a wake-up call that it's not working.
So still a lot of warts with the offense, a real couple ugly, pussy ones. But they spend this week at Milwaukee, which is pretty good, but not world-beating, and then another series with Oakland. Right, the Rangers have already had 2 series with the A's. The Astros get their second chance at beating up on the hapless this weekend. They're up to a 95 win pace for the season starting the week, within 2 games of the Rangers, who are at Pittsburgh and then at Baltimore this weekend. So by Memorial Day, the Astros could be in, or at least on the cusp of first place. Really, 2 games out is on the cusp already. So, when you have Astro standards and all their success, I'm sure some are thinking, well, boy, these are micro complaints. Well, no, they're not when your cleanup hitter is a joke. But it means that this team is so good still, not as good as it's been, but is still good. Margin of error is less. And the Astros internally, of course, are going over all of these things that we do. So those who just find it as complaining, grow up a little.
I don't find Dubon being iced out surprising, but I do find it disappointing just because it really does go against the mantra of, when your guys go out there performing, and especially a guy like Dubon, who clearly has put in the work, adding muscle, changing his swing path, and seeing the results on the field, and doing it over a sustained period of time. And Charlie, you mentioned Julks. He's still going to get ABs because he's got pop in the bat, which Dubon does not. But both of them walk the same amount, which is not at all. And so I just feel like the results are there right now for Dubon. Why not give him? And you don't have any loyalty to Julks. Like, you can't have loyalty to everybody. Like that's the thing, is like, okay, you're going to have loyalty to your veteran because Abreu's a former MVP. He's got a 3-year deal. He's not going anywhere. So, let's try to fix it. But you can lower him down the line. Nope. He's got to be in the cleanup spot. He's got to split up those two lefties. Okay. But let's at least give Dubon some opportunities. No, we got to give everybody else opportunities. At what point do you reward results? And I just feel like Dubon is a feel-good story. I do feel like, man, if ever there was a time to work a guy in and maybe give Abreu a day off, just to, whatever is ailing him, and also to give Dubon some shine, because I think the kid earned it.
If Abreu is going to remain the regular come hell or high water, here's one plot point path to getting Dubon some playing time. Once every week and a half for Abreu at first, once every 2 weeks for Altuve at second. I mean, Jeremy Pena is having an season so far. Not bad, but he has not built upon the incredible postseason. So it's not like you're taking prime Derek Jeter or Barry Larkin out of the lineup. So start every couple of weeks at short. And Alex Bregman's been if you're comfortable with Dubon at third. So you can spot him here, spot him there, and then you see how center field's going. The true essence of the utility man that he was supposed to be on this ball club. Of course, does he maintain the level of performance getting piecemeal starts than when he was able to settle into the routine, have the 20-game hitting streak? Though he did before going 5 for 8 in his last 2 games. Brandon, you alluded to vault back over 300. Law of diminishing returns had kicked in, right? His OPS had fallen to right about 700. The on-base percentage right about 300. But, he is their most valuable reserve because of flexibility. And sports, are they not supposed to be, within the context of what's best for the team, a meritocracy, right? You perform, you play well, you get rewarded financially with further playing time opportunity. Dubon, though, has handled it tremendously with anything that he's had to say on the subject, because I think he's realistic. He's not thinking, man, I was playing so well. Why does Altuve come in and play every day? Because he's Jose Altuve, and Dubon gets that.